Hello everyone, this is the webinar for the program Educational Sciences, Learning and Interaction, a 2-year research master. And oh yeah, we need to tell you that this webinar will be recorded, so you can also watch it back later. And we have a team for questions, so whenever you have a question, just put them in the I wanted to say Skype in this
box.
In the box.
I don't know.
And well, we get back to your questions, and every now and then we will check what questions are there and try to answer them. So
I'm Aquila. I'm a second-year student of this Master of Educational Sciences, and I come from Lithuania.
And what did you do before this program?
I did the bachelor in psychology in Groningen, in the Netherlands as well.
Okay, my name is Tim Meinert. I grew up in Germany, studied psychology in the Netherlands, and now I'm a teacher and coordinator for this program. So this research master, this 2-year program is a selective program. It takes 2 years, as I already said, and we take at the most 20 students. So that's the maximum number of students for this program. And so, well, as you can imagine, we teach in small groups. And specifically for this program, so there's a strong theoretical focus and a strong emphasis on methodology. So
yeah, so indeed, for example, this year we had only 17 students in my group, which is actually really nice because I did my bachelor in a 400 people group. So it was a very big difference, of course. And in that big group, you could only get to know a few of your fellow classmates. But now we really have a small community, which makes it really nice because you can really, especially in the first year, you have a lot of small group projects, so you can really get to know people, and you also work very closely with your teachers because you get quite a lot of attention from them as there are only a small amount of students. And it's not, usually it's way more Dutch students, I think, than international. So for example, in this year we have 3 international students and the rest is Dutch.
Where are the others from?
We have one from Argentina, one from Germany, and me from Lithuania. So, but it differs. I think sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. Yeah, and there are also mostly, of course, Dutch teachers, but well, a few internationals as well. Yeah, so that's really indeed a nice change from the big bachelor programs usually, I thought.
So why this program? So our mission is to prepare the high potential students for a job in educational research or policy. So we really have the mission to enhance evidence-based practice in both research and policy on education. So I'll just give you a very global idea of how the program looks like. You can also look it up on the web, and there's a bit more description about the courses. But the general setup is a semester setup, so we have 4 semesters, and so the first year is the courses are theories on learning, like an introductory course on the main theoretical streams in educational sciences, a neuroscience course, and then teaching about teacher education and, well, teaching practices, and the course individual differences. And in every semester, at least the first 2, we have a big chunk of statistics as well, multivariate statistics, and in the second year, much more interesting, multi-level.
Yeah, it gets quite complicated there, but it can be interesting.
No, it's certainly interesting. And structural equation modeling. And then the second year has 1 course, multimedia, and we have quite some time for elective courses. So this is free space where you can decide yourselves what you want to do. So you can do internships, you can do a course in another research master. Many students, or every year, few students go abroad or to another country in Europe. So I don't know how. What did you do?
I did an elective, so I took both electives and used it for my internship, and that's actually majority what people did. But Yeah, so it is indeed really nice that in the first year you cover a lot of topics in the educational field. So it really gives you a very good possibility to develop your interest in whatever you find interesting in there. And there are plenty of teachers who are experts in their own field. So that's really nice. Once you find something interesting, you can really go to the teacher and they're really enthusiastic to help you and to further your knowledge in educational field in whatever you find interesting. And in the second year, then you really have a possibility to design it in whatever way you want. So for example, if you really want to do the whole thesis project as your own project, so then you can collect your own data in the first semester and then write the whole thesis in the second semester. Or you can also do the internship, and internship has to have a big chunk of research, but you can still do it, for example, in consultancy companies, or you can also do it in another university. You can do kind of, I don't know, evaluation of programs, educational programs and stuff. So there are plenty of things that you can do. And even as an international student, you can find an internship, mostly in other universities or something like that. And there are plenty of teachers who can help you with that. So as an international student, it's not that troublesome to find an internship in this case. And what is also really nice, for example, what I'm doing is I combined my internship with my thesis, which is also possible. Because, well, I was struggling a little bit to find what I want to write my thesis about, and it was really nice that actually everybody wanted to help me to combine it in a way that I wanted. So now I'm very happy with what I'm writing about, and it was really nice that everybody's really open to help you to design it.
So so in the past we had students also going to San Diego or to Cambridge or Switzerland. So anything goes, in fact, as long as you're with good researchers and you do something research related. Maybe a few more words about customization. Of course, we have these courses, but in every course there are assignments. So let's imagine you have a certain interest, for example, learning in adults or expertise development. So in every course there are openings to say, well, can I do the assignment from this perspective, for example? And teachers are really willing to at least that's our intention, and I still have to say whether it's true. Yeah. So really try to feed you and support you when you have this certain interests.
Definitely.
So okay, let's see. Oh yeah. So now I will show you a few slides with the people who teach the course. Not all of them, a few of them, but so the most important thing maybe is the theme below on the lower part of the slide. So to give you an idea of what kind of expertise is in the program and what kind of things we do. So this is, for example, Professor Paul Lesemann, who's the coordinator too. He specialized in early childhood and inequality in education. Then Professor Elma Blom. She is an expert in language development and bilingual speakers and in special educational needs. And Tamara van Gogh, she is well, an expert in multimedia learning and learning from animations and embodied cognition. So not only learning with your head, but really by doing stuff, and so not explicit learning, but more implicit learning, if you like. And last but not least, we have Jan van Taatwijk, and he's an expert in the teacher education program. He's also the director of the program and interested also in, for example, expertise development. Okay, yes.
I saw them before.
I'm moving on. Okay, so, and what I wanted to emphasize is that we really try to give you a hands-on on the research. So it's not only books and talking, but we hope that we do enough doing as well, and that was hands-on.
Indeed a very big part on the first year, which was also quite overwhelming at first, because already in the first month you have to divide yourself in small groups and make the whole research project. Well, there were a few guidelines what you're supposed to do, but you could do it with eye tracking or with EEG. And then throughout the whole year, you were busy with it. But it was not just a tryout or something. It's a real research project. It's actually at that moment, it was like, whoa, okay, well, that's quite serious. But it's really turned out to be really big learning opportunity. And I saw from all of my classmates how much time they invested in it and how much thought. And it was really nice experience because you really work with your professors on that, and you can really build up everything from scratch. And actually, some of the experiments and the studies, they turn out to be really good. And for example, with my classmates, we still try to publish the paper that we wrote for this project, and also some of the alumni, I think, also got to publish it. So that's pretty cool as just a beginner in your master to already have such a big research experience. I really liked it.
Yeah. So what we really try to is really give you an idea what this research is about, but also really to go deeper and really think about the theory and the mechanisms underlying, for example, reading or problems with reading. So, and indeed, I think every year at least 1 or 2 papers are published after a while. So you also get experience with this whole academic process of writing and getting reviews and so on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. Okay, yeah, so why EdSci? And I think, at least from my point of view as a coordinator, so I think what's really important to know is that the program is evaluated by students every year very well. So we always end up at the first or second place in this kind of programs. So students really value what we do. And we have this strong theoretical basis. We are research oriented and multidisciplinary. So there will be stuff from neuroscience, there will be stuff more like, or in Dutch, orthopedagogiek, so like learning disabilities, but also multimedia and teaching components. So you get a broad view on themes going on in education, at least that's what we intend. And a lot of hands-on, just what we talked about just now. And I think what we also try is that we really ask the internationally active, well-known researchers to teach in our program. So to to immerse you already in this kind of community of researchers. Yes, so that's why.
I can tell some more reasons. Yeah.
Like what?
Well, I made some slides about it, I can tell. So, as Tim was saying before, it is indeed very much research-oriented, and which not only prepares you very well for the future in academia, if you wish, but just in general gives you a very nice training in how to take up the information that you get and to be critical about the sources that you have, the literature that you have. And that's handy anywhere. So, for example, that's what always, and that's what Tim used to say as well, that always when EdSci students go to an internship, they are really being treated as some kind of very professionals in some way. And that's surprising because you're still a student, of course, but at the same time, you can see what kind of good basis you have in actually to take up new things and learn new methodologies and stuff, because you still have a good basis to look at the material critically. And that makes it easier to learn new stuff as well. So that's really nice to experience.
Yeah, so I think so the first bullet you put on the slide, that's really a goal we have in the program. So to really train you in developing this critical mindset. So that's why everything is kind of research connected, and that you build stuff by yourself. But it's not necessarily that we want to lead you towards a job in research, but to develop this really good criticism, which is also helpful when you are a consultant or when you work in policy, like, I don't know, Ministry of Education or so, to be really critical. Okay, what do these numbers say and how was this research organized and so on.
Yeah, indeed. And variety of topics covered. Yeah, I already said that about just different topics, that it really helps to develop your interest. But what I also want to say is that I started this master definitely not thinking that I want to work in academia. I really didn't like research that much. No, I think you should go back.
I'm sorry.
Maybe I can just do it. So I really didn't want to work in academia, and but I just started this master because I thought that, oh, it's nice that it's 2 years because I really like to learn. And I thought that, okay, well, 1 year master is too short maybe, and I really like the topic. So I started it, and then throughout the time you develop your interest, and now I can imagine doing some more research in the things that I find interesting. But so what I want to say is just that do not think that this is the master only for the ones who want to stay in academia and who want to be the researchers, and that's the only thing that they want to do. It's actually, it gives you a good basis for any career that you may want to follow in educational field. And of course, it is still a strong base emphasis on the fact that, yeah, so you can do a PhD after, and so many students do a PhD and stuff, but still increasingly a lot of guest speakers speak about action research and applied research. And so it is getting more of, okay, that's not the only path to go to academia, but you can also apply these things in other fields, not fields, but contexts. So yeah, so don't feel afraid by the fact that it's research master or it's 2-year master or whatever. Yeah. Okay. What I also wanted to really emphasize is that it can be perceived as a downside, probably, that it's a really demanding program, and especially in the first year. And when I just started, and I was talking to the previous students, and they were saying, yeah, you know, it takes 80 hours a week. It's really impossible. It's really not possible to do anything else besides it and stuff. So that was pretty scary. And it is possible to do things besides, I figured. Well, I was always working part-time as well, and I was always having extracurricular activities and sort of social life time to time. So it is possible to do things beside as well.
You have a social life.
Kind of. Well, now it's getting back again, but you just really need to plan things and to be really motivated, because if you find this topic interesting, if you want to work in education and you're motivated, you can easily do it, because everything what you're going to learn, you're going to find interesting, and you only need to plan it really well, and it's all going to work out. So, but it is a very demanding program, and it's a very, very big difference between the bachelor, for me at least, and the master, because you really have to go in depth. Yeah, a strong basis for a career in academia, well, that's what I said already.
Oh yeah, maybe the demanding program thing. So when I talk to students who are in the program, I think, and I always find it interesting to let them compare it with their bachelor's experience. And I think, so this is a very important thing. So if you're a student who did his or her bachelor well, quite easily and not with too much pressure, and maybe it was a little bit boring at times, and you had to work with students who struggled or didn't really want to work, this will be the big difference with this 2-year master, because everybody is highly motivated, wants to know, and so it's a whole kind of different dynamic. Teachers, so there will be more direct contact with teachers and with researchers, experts in the field. So that's, I think, at least what I hear, the most important difference with a bachelor.
Yeah, and what I also want to say is that even though it's a very demanding program, it is also not like you are just left alone to deal with your own issues if you're able to. So what I want to say is that teachers are still very flexible, and in the fact that it's a small group, you have a lot of contact with them. So I think Tim as well was always kind of trying to get a grip of how the group is feeling, and if everybody is just dying and thinking, okay, I cannot get the deadline and stuff, deadlines can get postponed or put forward or backward. So that's nice, because then you really can, you know, everybody's interested in you passing, and then you can really feel that.
Yes, we are all very flexible.
To a certain extent.
At least.
I think Tim already said a little bit, but I think that I did a bachelor in psychology before in Groningen, and that's also a research university. And I think that it's a plus to have had sort of experience with research in some way, especially if you have had it in Dutch context or not, but also with regards to statistics a lot, because when you come here, they already assume that you have the basics of understanding the research, how it works, and also the basics of statistics, because everything only gets built up upon that. So if you don't, then, well, of course, I think you should talk maybe to program coordinators a bit more about how you can go around it. But it is a plus if you have had experience with statistics and research context in some way. Yeah. And another thing what I want to say is that there are plenty of other things, very nice things that you can do in Utrecht University and Utrecht in general. So you can also be a research assistant around your research master and deepen your experience. But you can also have plenty of other, for example, honors programs, which also orient towards more social kind of problems that you are solving within small groups, or you can also volunteer in plenty of organizations within university, but also outside of university. So it's really nice because you can really develop yourself not only as a student, but also as a citizen, or just get some other skills. You can also
as a
do,
person.
indeed, and a lot
Yes.
of committee works and stuff. So that's nice, I think.
Which
Yeah, so that also relates to this point, is that what I want to say is that as international, but also as a Dutch student, you can really easily find your way in Utrecht, and not literally find your way, but find somebody to be with. Well, find a way, that's not always. But anyways, so especially international students often form on Facebook, and they in just real kind of communities, and they meet a lot, and there are also buddy systems and all kinds of stuff. So Utrecht is very big and diverse in that sense. So whatever you are international or Dutch students, you can really find friends and be part of something.
And how is that in your year group?
I think that well, we do have a majority of Dutch students, of course, but it doesn't matter in a sense that Dutch are with Dutch, internationals are with internationals, so it's kind of mingle around. And
you have like a Facebook page, or
yeah, we have
app or whatever
app together indeed, and we do plan quite regularly things to do together. So we have dinners together, and we go somewhere. I didn't go yet, but well, but people do, and like no, really, we do because it's a small group, so it's really easy to do that.
Yeah, so nice. From my perspective as a teacher, so I really see students like team up a lot. Of course, there's a lot of group work as well, or at least, well, every course or in every semester there's at least a part of group work. So students team up a lot, and yeah, so I often hear that it's a very close group in a way. So some years it's more, and some years it's a little bit less. So I know of some years that still meet like they graduated 4 years ago, but they still have a weekend somewhere where they meet.
Really nice.
So it's really
But also outside of your own master, there are also research master activities of all of the research masters and stuff. So you can really find friends. You only need to
you won't be lonely.
Yeah, and also, if you're planning to move to Utrecht, that's the last point, that it's really difficult. It's not really difficult, but it's quite time-consuming to find a room and accommodation to live in here. So if you're planning in some way to come here, then you should really start looking for a room in advance through Facebook and through people maybe you know here. And because it's quite tight on rooms.
Fortunately. All right, so we talked a little bit about it already, but now I have a few slides and some things to say about career and what people do after ETSI. And yeah, well, I have these 3 icons here on the slide. So university, governmental things, and consultancy are actually the 3 broad fields. There's quite a lot that start the program saying, I'm not going into research, but when they're finished, ETSI say, maybe I first do a PhD and then see what I will be doing. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm still adapting well. Okay. Yeah, but now it's at least open to do research. Yeah.
Well, let's. I have a few slides. So this is Oana from Romania, and she graduated last year, and she's now doing a PhD in teacher education in Switzerland. Titia is she graduated a few years ago, and she is now what's the English term? Policy person,
policy maker,
developer, maker in
policy worker.
Policy worker.
No.
At the Dutch Ministry of Education, which is really nice because every now and then we have these meetups in the program, and then. For us, of course, it's important what is going on, at least as well in the Dutch field of education, and so we have now our little network of people here and there, and she can give us more insight. Oh yeah, and people go there for internships, for example, if they're interested. This is Johan. Johan did a PhD and then became an educational consultant. So I think he's now working for 2 years as a consultant or something. So that's an example. And Rutmer is had done well, in Dutch it's called the ALPO, the academic PABO. So that's primary. He first became a primary school teacher with a combined bachelor at the research university, and he's now a PhD student. I think I also have a slide about what people did before EdSci. So I think the easiest, or maybe the most common way to get into the program is having a bachelor's in one of the social sciences, so psychology, pedagogics, sociology, whatever. But almost every year there's someone from linguistics, movement sciences this year as well. Alex, I guess.
Biology.
We have people from biology. We have people who did the university-based teacher training. And actually, personally, as a teacher, I like that quite a lot because then you get input from very different perspectives on a theme. I don't know how that exactly works in your group.
Well,
I like it as a teacher. Do you like it as a student too?
Yeah, actually, I do. I was doing my internship together with another classmate of mine, and she did biology.
Oh, Lucia.
And and you can sometimes really see that the perspectives are just different. I did psychology, she did a bit more of the natural sciences. So you do see how there are different kind of focuses and the different ways to approach things, but which is really good in a team then. So yeah, true.
And that's so what we really like. So we want this diversity in disciplines, but also where people come from. So because then we have a nice dynamic going on in the courses. So that's what we really hope to achieve every year. Then we need to talk about grades. So it's a selective program. That means that you have to be quite a good student to get into the program. So for Dutch students, it will be an average of 7.5, which equals a GPA of 3 and higher. And for the USA grade system, it will be an A- or higher. And the second thing we ask of you is to give us a strong motivation why you think you should be in the program. I see we have a question. I just finished this one. But so because we want this diversity in the course, and because we want people who have also a specific interest in there, so these guidelines are not super strict. So if you can explain, well, I don't have this 7.5, for example, but for these reasons, I would be really thrilled to do the program or whatever. So we can talk about that, of course. And there are always kind of custom tailored solutions possible. So take that, keep that in mind. And we have a question. What's the question on?
So Rose is asking, how many hours of education do you have approximately in a week? I think there can be plenty of different answers to this question because I think it really depends on the way you work and the way how perfectionistic you are. Because as I was saying before, is that the students before me, they were saying that they were investing 80 hours a week. And if I would have to invest 80 hours a week only in the studies, I would have not survived. So I mean, in general, it is definitely possible to do other things besides. And I think that around 40 hours a week, you are definitely busy with studies, definitely, and especially in the first year, because, well, I could say that with how the week would look like, so that you are going to school every single day from 9 till usually quite late, because you have lectures, but then also you have a lot of group projects, so you really do meetings on the meetings, because you
but maybe
you have
we can
to communicate.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe, well, I understood the question also a little bit,
Oh,
like how many contact hours you have.
Oh, okay.
So every semester, so that means kind of every week. Sometimes there are a week where there are no meetings, but a typical week would probably look like having 2 hours in the one course, 2 or 3 hours in the other course, like for example, teaching and neuroscience, and then 2 hours in the statistics course, for example. And then probably it's not every week, but that would be kind of the rhythm.
Well, approximately,
and meeting students in between for working on.
So I think you have 2 days around where you don't have to go to university a week.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Let's see. What do we need to say? Okay. Yeah. Well, here's the admissions deadline. It's 1st of April. Oh, that's already our last slide.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have questions, be quick. So, yeah, so we have a website with very detailed information, and also for international students, how they can apply and what the requirements are. So check these entry requirements. What we ask is English proficiency, because everything will be taught in English, and it doesn't need to be perfect or whatever, as long as you are able to communicate and to get your ideas across, and writing in English, of course, is important too. But at least in my experience, students, for example, for this writing part, students learn really quick. So after the first 1 or 2 assignments, it's really like, okay, what you do.
Yeah, true.
Did you do your bachelor's in English as well?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. But what I could say indeed is that even if someone is not extremely yet comfortable with English, they definitely can go through the year indeed quickly learning and writing and talking, and that never goes wrong, I think.
No, I cannot remember that we really have problems with it. So, and if you have done a Dutch bachelor, so your English should be fine. So that's really our experience. So no extra things you need to do. Then for the programs without, well, a statistics part in it. So a typical Dutch social sciences bachelor has about, well, I don't know how we came across with this specific number of 560 hours.
I don't know, maybe it's a bachelor.
Maybe that's the number of hours in Utrecht. So, but that's kind of to give you an idea how much statistics people had ideally when they entered the program. And maybe important to know there are, if you think, well, I don't have this, so there are summer courses taught in Utrecht where you can where you can go to
and this year we also had a classmate of mine. He also did the movement sciences. Then he
Alex,
did
yes.
the pre-master or the summer school or something. He really,
I think for him it really was fine, right?
Yeah, indeed. And now he's shining bright now.
Is he even?
Yeah, no, really.
Oh yeah, the good grades. Well, we talked about that. Okay.
We have some more questions.
Yes.
Natalie was asking, I understand that students that don't meet the methodology and statistics requirements must take remedial online courses to be admitted. What can you expect from this course? Do they get an conditional offer? I don't know so much about the additional courses.
No. So I don't know the online courses. I know that our statistics and math department has courses in Utrecht, but maybe they have online stuff as well. And yeah, and maybe now we talk a lot about statistics and stuff, but we also do, at least we try to do more and more also qualitative work. So coding texts and interviews and working in that kind of way. But we have a question for you, actually.
Yeah, Ina asked me, is there something that was hard for you during the Masters? Something that became a problem or anything? I think that I speak for most of the people in my master that the most demanding thing was statistics, because in other courses it's more about choosing your interest and writing it and kind of getting the sources and stuff. But I think that statistics is something that you really have to pass and you really have to understand it in a way. And I think that everybody has different kind of relationship with such things. So I think that was the most demanding thing. But it was also not, I'm really not a fan of statistics, and I did it in my bachelor, but I was never shining in it in any kind of way, but I was good at it. I mean, like, you know, I got, I think, 8 eventually and stuff, so, which was for me quite surprising. So I think that the way it is approached in this master, it's that, okay, so that's what we think that you should learn.
Yeah, so
let's help you with that. Yeah. And then,
so from the perspective of the program or the teachers, so I think even if you don't going to be a researcher, you should really be able to also read the more complex papers in educational psychology and in education. So there, almost every paper uses some kind of multi-level. So really taking into account that students share the same environment in a class, and students from the same class will probably be more alike in their answers to a questionnaire or something, or in their learning, than students from a different class. So we really want you to be able, well, to deal with this also in the data, and the same is true for structural equation modeling. So we also have courses that really try to connect the more theoretical or research question kind of approach to these kind of methods. So it really has also a conceptual function for us.
Yeah.
And watch.
Yeah. And even though it was the most demanding, but nobody had everybody passed in my class, and everybody had good grades eventually. So I think that it's really nice and doable, and yeah.
Yeah. So we. I'm sorry. Oh, that's also a question about.
Oh yeah.
So do you think this master would come handy for already practicing teachers? So yes, of course, it depends a little bit on what you would like to do. So probably you can also really use it in class, but it is probably also interesting if you also move a bit more, like if you, well, at the school level, think about educating strategies or designing programs and so on. So so we need to check the entry requirements. So it can be handy, but it's also depending on your specific program whether you could enter. But it's important to know that we had teachers every year. So yes, it would fit certainly.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. So I think it's time to
wrap up.
Or do we have more questions?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, either we were very clear.
Yeah, so thank you for attending, and hope to see you in Utrecht.
Yes, thank you.